PSD Tuts Plus spoon-fed Photoshop tutorial. I'm Gavin Steele, and in today's tutorial I'm going to be taking you through creating a set of digital painting icons. Part 5, this is the Cityscape display icon. And I'm just going to scroll down, we can take a look at the final image. This is by Andrea Austoni. And we're going to be creating this cool little Mac-inspired display where you can slide in any of your own images onto the background, and these are used on website templates and generally in website designs. And again, we're going to be creating this one at about 512 pixels by 512 pixels, and you can use that on your PC or on your Mac. So let's get started. Let's load up Photoshop and see what I've created. And you can see we've got our monitor here, we've got our little glass effect, our stand, and we've got our camera at the top and our on button in the middle. So to get started, the first thing we need to do, I'm just going to move this over to the side. I'm going to open a new document, and that's going to be set to 512 pixels by 512 pixels. I'm going to click on OK, and I'm going to make sure we can see all of our canvas there. I'm going to bring down a guide, so I'm going to drag down from the top of my rulers, and that's going to snap into place in the middle. And again, a horizontal guide, and again they'll snap into the middle. The first thing I need to do is I'm going to create my actual display. So I'm going to grab the rounded rectangle tool, which is this tool right here. Make sure you've got the radius set to 10 pixels, and I'm going to click in the middle. I'm going to hold down Alt, Shift, and just pull out, release Shift, and just keep hold of Alt, so I'm coming from this middle point here, and I'm going to pull out until I've got my display size, something like that. Looks pretty good. I'm going to right click and just turn off those layer styles. They're from the previous attempt. And there we have our rectangle tool. Now I'm just going to change this to a light grey, something like this, BF, 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 BF. Click on OK. Okay, so that's going to be our frame for our monitor itself. Next thing we need to do is we're going to command click on the frame. I'm just going to rename this quickly. So command click or control click on a PC on this little area here, head up to select, modify, come down to contract, and we're going to contract this by about 2 pixels. Click on OK, create a new layer, make sure you've got black selected. G on the keyboard is going to bring up your paint bucket tool. If you don't see it, it's over here. Make sure you've got the little black box showing that you've selected it. Let's click inside our new selection, Command D to deselect, and if we zoom in, you'll be able to see we've got a little silver edge to our monitor there. Let's zoom back out and bring that over. Okay, so we filled that with black. We're going to call this layer glass, like so, and then we're going to command click on our glass layer. We're going to head up to select, modify, contract. We're going to contract this by 1 pixel. Click on OK. And then we're going to head over to our bucket and we're going to select the gradient tool, and we're going to select black to white. Okay, so you should see black to white there. Should be about a third option across. Click on OK. I'm going to click at the top, and I'm just going to drag all the way down, and we have white going down to black. If you've got black going down to white, you can just check the reverse button here instead of going back into your gradient and draw out the gradient again, and it'll be absolutely fine for you. Now what I didn't do was create a new layer, so I'm going to Command Z that, just quickly pop in a new layer, and again just draw that out like so. So once you've got your gradient on there, we're going to call that layer reflection. Like so. Oops. Okay, call that reflection. Head over to the polygonal lasso tool, like so. Just draw out a little angle, like so. And once you've got that, we're going to come down and click on this mask tool, and we're going to mask off that area. We're going to set this layer to multiply. I'm sorry, not to multiply, to screen, and reduce it right down to 20%. Okay, it's starting to take shape now. Next thing we need to do is we're going to grab our rectangular marquee tool and we're going to create a new layer above our glass layer but below our reflection layer. So make sure you've got the glass layer selected, click on new layer, and we're going to fill this with our placeholder color. So we're going to come over and grab the rectangular marquee tool, click inside, hold down Alt so that we're in the middle, and this is going to be the actual screen itself. That looks pretty good. I'm going to select a nice blue color, like so. Create that new layer. Make sure you've got the paint bucket selected and just fill that in. Command D to deselect, and we can call that screen and hit on enter. Next thing to do is we're going to add our camera, our pinhole camera, and our on and off button. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit here, bring this canvas right back up, spacebar to move around the canvas. I know this is the middle, so again I'm going to create a new layer on top of everything. I'm going to grab my elliptical marquee tool, click in the middle here, hold down Alt so we know it's in the middle. I'm going to go to my paint bucket tool. I'm going to select a really just off black 33333, click on OK, fill that in, head up to selection again, modify, contract. Let's try and do 2 pixels, click on OK. I'm going to select this just a little bit lighter, fill that, Command deselect. That's going to be our pinhole camera. I'm going to come down to the bottom down here, create a new layer, and again back up to our elliptical marquee tool, Alt click in the middle. I'm going to hold down Shift to make sure I get a full circle. Okay, G, and I'm going to fill this with white. So we're in our paint bucket tool, fill it with white, selection, modify, contract, 2 pixels again, click on OK this time, going to fill it with black, select, modify, contract, 2 pixels again, click on OK, go back to white, fill that in, double click on this logo layer. We're going to head into the blending options, or the layer style, sorry, and we're going to select our outer glow. So make sure you've got that checked. Now for our outer glow we want to make sure it's on linear dodge. We're going to have it set to 100, 0, and then the color we're going to use is going to be 236 1FF. Nice blue. Click on OK. Soft is fine. We're going to increase this to 13, increase this to 11. Click on OK. There we have it. Command D to deselect. Here we go, Z. Just zoom out. Back out to 100. And that looks pretty good. We can go back in. It's a little bit big. Just hit Command T to transform that. Shift and Alt so that we are going to constrain this to the center point and just reduce that in size a touch. Hit Enter. I'm going to zoom back out to 100%. Command H to hide those guides, and that looks pretty good. Next thing we need to work on is our stand or the support. So I'm going to group everything we've done so far. Command G. I'm going to call that monitor. And below the monitor we're going to have our stand. So I'm going to come back over to a rectangle tool, rounded rectangular tool, get that nice grey colour going, something like this, and again hold down Alt so I know I'm in the middle, and just bring that down. It's going to be pretty good. I'm just going to shift that down so we can see a little more of it. Okay, so once we've got that done, we've drawn that out, we're going to grab the top 2 points. So I'm going to turn off the monitor layer, I'm going to come over to my direct selection tool, and I'm going to click on here and then drag and select those top points and just nudge it to the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Again, Grab this side, going left, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, just so we get it tapered a little bit. And then we're going to add our gradient. So double click on this layer. We're going to come down to gradient overlay. Make sure you've got it set to normal 100. I'm going to come into my gradients, going to scroll down to the bottom. I've already got it pre-set up as my stand, and I'm just going to reveal these colors. We've got F5F, 7FF. We've got B4, B4, B4. E7, E8, EA. C8, C8, C8. And again C8, C8, C8. And the final color is 75, 75, 75. Now I'm going to move my gradient over to, click on OK, and then move my layer style over to the left. Okay, it looks pretty good. I'm going to click on OK and turn my monitor back on. And that shadow's actually worked out pretty well for me. What you can do is, if we go back into our layer stylers, when you click on gradient overlay, you can actually, if you look down here, start to move that around if your shadow isn't quite in the right place. But mine is actually pretty good there. Okay, next thing to do is we're going to duplicate our support layer. So I'm just going to drag that down to a new layer. Going to drag that new layer below our support layer, and we're going to call this support thickness. Click on OK, and I'm going to right click. We're going to clear the layer styles. We're going to go back in and we're going to create the thickness layer there. Let's bring this over, gradient overlay, and we're going to have that set to normal 100, and we're just worried about these colors down here. Now just to help, I'm going to keep, I could have left that on, and we're just going to change the colors we've already got. The first one is AF, AF, AF. Don't worry about the placement just yet. The second one is going to be F5, F7, FF. Third one is going to be C8, C8, C8. Fourth one again is going to be C8, C8, C8. That's fine. Fifth one is going to be E7, sorry, E6, E7. I'm sorry, that's not right at all. E7, E8, EA. And our last one is going to be AF, AF, AF. Now the placement, we need to bring this last one all the way over to the right. Bring this right next to it. This one's a little bit further over. That looks pretty good. Click on OK. Change the angle to 0 degrees. Click on OK. V on the keyboard for the move tool and just start to nudge it down like so. So you can start to see this area down here, and again if you move it, it's going to increase the thickness of that bar. I think you need to go a couple little nudges. Last thing to work on is going to be the shadow underneath everything else. So let's just create a little group here for our support work. Command G. Let's call that support. And then underneath that, I'm going to create a new layer called shadow. On our shadow layer, I'm just going to grab our little marquee tool, our elliptical marquee tool. Again, start in the middle here, hold down Alt, drag it out, fairly thin because the monitor's going to be thin, like so. G on the keyboard, let's fill that with black, like so. Set the layer to multiply, reduce it down a bit, just to give us an idea for now. And then we're going to head up, Command D to deselect, filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and 10 pixels. Yep, that looks pretty good. I might even just reduce that just so we get this more solid center. Click on OK. And then we can just grab our blur tool, and I'm just going to soften these edges. So just a couple of strokes in here. Just coming along. Like so. Again, I'm going to reduce the opacity just a touch. V on the keyboard to get our move tool, and I'm going to bring it down. And then you can start to play with, well, is this icon floating in the air, or is it very much, flat on the ground? But I think that looks pretty good like that. Command H to get rid of those guides. And there you have a neat little monitor icon created in Photoshop. If you want to replace this blue screen with your own image, you just head over to your monitor and then replace the screen layer with your image layer, or just put it above on a layer above it. And again, you can just Command T and just transform that so it fits to your screen size, and then our little reflection is going to sit on top of that. So it's a nice little neat icon and a great tutorial by Andrea there over at psetutsplus.com. Do check it out and check out our other videos in the video section. I've been Gavin Steele, and I hope you've enjoyed that tutorial.